Hey guys, welcome back for another episode here. Today we're going to talk about what I eat in a day as an ex-Amish. Now, before you run away, I'm not going to tell you that this is how you need to be eating. I'm going to just kind of walk you through my history of eating and what led me to how I'm eating today and how things change over time and how it's important to make sure that you are doing the same thing in order to best support your health. What I ate back in my 20s is not how I eat now. How I ate in my 30s is not necessarily how I eat now. Things can change and evolve depending on what's going on in your life and whether or not there are things that you need to work on to heal from or rebuild back up. But this is not something that I do in terms of dieting. It is something that I do based on intuition and what I know and the knowledge that I have and continue to obtain from studying and learning like what my body needs. And this is what I teach my clients. Now, before I dive into this, I got something for you guys. My next 6-week UNdiet You reset program starts on October 20th. And I want to invite you guys in. I'm going to have this link in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, it's going to be attached and hyperlinked into the YouTube video. So if you're a YouTube watcher, you can go there and just grab that link. Now, this is for both men and women, and it's for 6 weeks. What is this? This is a 6-week UNdiet reset program. What does that even mean? It means we are not going on a fat diet. We are not doing any kind of gimmicks. I am teaching you the things that you need to know in order to know how to fuel and nourish your body in a way that doesn't require dieting. And it gives you the education that you're needing, and in return, you rev up your metabolism, you heal your metabolism, you support your thyroid and your hormones, you start losing the weight, inflammation, improving your brain fog, improving your gut health and digestion. And this is for 6 weeks. And I'm doing this specifically in order to help you guys feel better and healthier and also look good for the holidays, because nobody doesn't want to feel amazing and look good for the holidays. You want to fit into that outfit that you've always wanted to, but you also want to be able to be present and feel good. And so many people just kind of coast through the holidays. There's a lot of stress and a lot more food and parties and things like that. And you can learn how to take care of yourself going through the holidays so that you are not waiting until January and getting sick all the time during the holidays. You're not going to wait until January to feel better. I'm calling it October is the new January. Like, we're going to get ahead of this. And we're not going to wait until January to learn how to take care of ourselves, because let's be honest, your health doesn't wait on you. So if you're not taking action today, tomorrow, and the day after, your health doesn't wait. It's only going to continue to decline until you decide to take action. In fact, I launched this out yesterday. I'm recording this on a Thursday. And I launched this program out for enrollments yesterday, and I had so many people come in already. And I had a friend of mine text me, and she asked me like, "Hey, when are you going to run the next one?" I'm thinking maybe 2026. And I was like, "I don't know when I'm going to run this in 2026, but 2025 is the year. Like, this is the last time that I'm running this in 2025. And this is the year for you to take back your health. There is no reason to wait." And I think a lot of times people assume that they have to give up everything that they're already doing, change everything, and it's going to be too stressful with holidays coming up. Here's the thing. If you're not taking care of your health, everything else is going to feel a lot heavier and a lot more stressful and a lot harder to go through. And you feel like you have to wait until this perfect time. You don't. You want to get on now. And then a lot of times, a hesitation for people is, well, I'll plan for it for financially for 2026. Guys, let me just come straight out to you and tell you this is the cheapest thing that you could ever do to get as much knowledge and information and guidance as you can. It's literally the VIP option for the whole 6 weeks. VIP option is $149, one-time payment of $149. And if you don't want to do VIP, you can do 99, but $99 for the basic one. Now, the VIP one is the one that I will always suggest people do because we meet on a weekly basis for calls. So if you are in VIP, you're going to get a live Zoom call with me every single week. Okay, for 6 weeks, you get to come onto those calls and you get to ask me questions. You get to ask guidance. You get to ask, things about nutrition, like how many calories should I be having? How much protein should I be? You get to ask those questions and you get a lot more touch base on that. And that's what you pay for when it comes to the VIP option. Now, if you're like, I don't want to get on live calls and I just want to like do it kind of on my own and go through everything like that, you still have support in the app through a group chat and everything, but you just don't get any of the live calls. I will tell you from experience, I ran this twice earlier this year, and the people that were in VIP like far succeeded the people that were not in VIP because they paid a little bit more, literally $49 more, $50 more to be in VIP, but they got that support. And when they got that support and they felt like someone was actually there that could answer these types of questions, they far succeeded their success in weight loss and the habits they were building and the results that they saw because they showed up in VIP. So I will always encourage VIP. 6 weeks, we're going to dive heavily into teaching you about nutrition. Okay, the things that you need to know. There's no gimmicks. I'm not telling you to take any kind of pills to help you lose weight, nothing of that sort. This is like truly educational things on how to fuel and nourish your body to help your metabolism get revved up, because a lot of you guys have slow metabolisms and that's why you're not losing weight, and heal your metabolism, but at the same time, also help your thyroid and your hormones and your energy and your sleep. You would be surprised. I had someone ask me yesterday, I'm worried about it that it's not for someone that has thyroid issues or hormone issues. No, actually, it's exactly for that person. Okay. If you have thyroid and hormone issues, the number one thing that you need to know is your nutrition. Like the basics of your nutrition, you need to know. And that goes the same literally for anything and everything that when it comes to health. There is no like, oh, you need to do things completely different. You need to know the basics and the foundation. And one of the number one things that I always see that people are missing is just proper education. Because if you've never worked with anybody that has actually taught you the things that you need to know in terms of what is an actual calorie, what is a protein, what is a carb, what is a fat, if you don't know those things, then this is your place. And if you have never taken the time to understand those things, this is your place. Like I always tell people, this is stuff you should have learned in high school, but you didn't. And now we're here, and now I'm going to teach you. So come on in. Come and enroll, and the first 100 people that enroll get a free $99 offer automatically. So you want to be one of the first 100 people that come in and enroll, and you will get that offer added on to your enrollment. We start October 20th. Come on in. I'm doing it strategically to get you all the way through Thanksgiving. You will be surprised how you could go through Thanksgiving and even lose weight during the holidays, but it'll get you all the way through Thanksgiving and have you all set up to go through this holiday season feeling empowered and strong and healthy and energetic and losing weight. Wouldn't it be a dream to lose weight during the holidays? And you'd be like, I always gain weight during the holidays. Now I'm actually losing weight and I'm not even starving myself. You're not going to starve yourself here. So next 6-week UNdiet You program starts October 20th. So come on in, enroll, and let's get you through the end of the year of 2025 and start 2026 strong, because you know and you understand. Now let's dive into what I eat in a day. Before I even do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history. So when I was growing up in the Amish community, most of you know that have been listening for quite some time that I have a twin sister. And long story short, I haven't seen her in 13 years, something like that. But when we were growing up, I was the biggest one when we were born. So as a twin, you naturally get compared. And I wasn't huge or anything like that. I think we were like, 5 pounds something, but I was bigger. And so I was also born first. But I was always the leader. And with that being said, she was pretty tiny when she was born. So I was just bigger in general than she was. I wasn't obese or anything like that during my teenage years, but I was the one that was always ahead. Like I probably took a lot of the nutrients when we were in the womb because and then I also got my period like 5 years before she got hers. Like she was just always a little bit more behind on that stuff. But with that being said, because I was bigger than she was, I would get bullied for my weight, primarily from an older sister of mine who was overweight. And I think it was now knowing what I know, it was an insecurity of hers. But my twin and I were super close. We had our moments, just like all siblings, we had our moments, but in general, as twins, we were still super close. But what my older sister decided to do was try to pin us, together. She would say things about me and say things about my weight, even though she was bigger than I was, but she still decided that she wanted to do that because she wanted my twin to be her best friend, not my best friend. I clearly and so vividly remember this. She called me a cow one time. I had been sick and I went to bed early. I was probably on my period. And I went to bed early and I slept in my twin and I would always sleep in the same bed. And then my older sister would sleep in the bed in the same room. So I'm sort of sleeping, but not full on asleep. And they come upstairs and as they walk in, my oldest sister says to my twin, "Look at that fat cow." She's calling me a fat cow because I'm like laying in bed sleeping, or she thought I was sleeping. And then she goes, "If you don't want to sleep with her tonight, you can sleep with me." And I don't know if my twin felt obligated to do that or not. I have no idea. But she ended up sleeping with my older sister. But that did something to me, like so excruciating, deep pain. Like, how dare you pin my twin against me and try to be best friends with my twin when her and I are the twins and we're the closer ones. So that wasn't the beginning, but it was sort of like that catapult of me going into a very bad eating disorder. From then on, I decided I'm going to do everything that I can to shrink myself and get myself to way less than my twin. And so we would do weigh-ins. Like we had this scale, this old-fashioned scale that we would, the one that you would move the thing until it like balances, and then you would find your scale or your weight. So that's what we would do. And the way that I did it is I would starve myself. So I would eat as little as I could sitting at the table, and then I wasn't anorexic. I was not bulimic. I was none of those. I was, hey, I'm going to starve myself at the table. And then in between meals, sometimes I was so hungry, I would just like sneak to the pantry and fill myself up with whatever was in there. But this was my way of, trying to lose weight because I didn't have any education. It's really interesting to look at this because I've had this conversation with people. Is body dysmorphia thing in the Amish community? Like, how could they? There be like, there's no tabloids, there's no Hollywood, there's none of that. And yes, the truth is, it's there because comparison. So you don't have to have access to technology in order for that to happen. So the other thing that I would do in order to make myself look smaller is I would curl myself up. I would hunch over, like I would literally sit with like a humpback hunch in my back all the time. Make myself look as small as I possibly could, sitting in a chair or at the table. So that's where that started. What ended up happening from there is I would get really, really sick. I got anemic. I don't think they ever diagnosed me with that, but I knew, knowing now what knowing what I know now and looking at some of the symptoms and stuff, I would get bruised super, super easy without, just by bumping myself. I would get bruised. I had debilitating periods and I had major digestive issues. So my mom would send me to this chiropractor that would do colonics on me and get everything out. And then the people that were doing colonics were like, well, don't eat meat because the meat will slow down your digestion. And that just kind of led into more like iron deficiency and stuff like that. I know that now. And so that pain became my identity is, oh, someone's paying attention to me. So I drew attention to myself by making myself sick. And it's really sad when you think about that, making yourself sick. But that's unfortunately, that is some people's identity, and I recognize that now. And so I was getting attention by making myself sick. And eventually I lost a bunch of weight. And then people at church would start commenting, like, wow, like you've lost weight. Like some people would be like, are you okay? Other people are like, you're so skinny. Like it was a concern for them, but I loved it. I was like, yes, like finally, like I'm the one that's skinny. And I still remember the day that I stepped on the scale. It was my twin was there too, and we were weighing ourselves in. It's like the biggest loser. And I remember this day so vividly. I mean, we stepped on the scale, and it was the day that I weighed less than her, and it was like victory. Oh, I was like, yes, I finally win. Like I'm worth something because I finally you can't bully me because I'm bigger than she is. Like I'm actually smaller. My twin was so mad. She was not happy that she like weighed more than I did. Even if it was just like 2 pounds, she still wasn't happy about it. So I don't really remember what happened after that, but let's fast forward a few years after that when I finally did leave the Amish community when I was almost 20. And after I left, I got introduced to I was like, oh, I'm used to cooking from scratch, but I don't really know how to cook outside of that. And the food outside of the Amish community is so much different, like way different. I felt like I had to learn everything new again on like how to cook because number one, I didn't really have money to go buy stuff. And I wasn't used to having to buy stuff from the grocery store, like potatoes and rice and stuff like that. And so what did I do? I got introduced to microwavable foods. So I got introduced to lean cuisines and anything else that was like, those like frozen dinners, and you just stick it in the microwave. That's what I got introduced to. And I loved it because I was like, man, like I don't have to cook from scratch anymore. And I can just stick this in the microwave. This is amazing. After that, I also got introduced. I still remember my very first time going through a Burger King drive-through and getting like fries and probably like chicken nuggets or something. I don't remember. Maybe fish sticks. That was the one thing that we always liked was fish sticks. So I remember when that happened and I was like, wow, like I can just go to drive-throughs and I can go, have microwavable foods. Like this is amazing. But to kind of back it up a little bit, when I was still at home, because I had digestion issues from not eating enough, one of the things that happens when you don't eat enough on a daily basis, number one, you slow down your metabolism, you're going to mess up your hormones, you're going to mess up your thyroid. But number one, you're going to slow down your elimination, your digestion. And so one of the things that I got addicted to was laxatives. So I would take laxatives to make sure that I'm able to go to the bathroom every single day. That was my addiction. If I can just get this stuff out. So instead of bulimia where you're like throwing things up, I was making sure that it always exits the other way. And I did so by taking laxatives. One of the things that happened after that, after I started eating all of this fast food and frozen microwavable food, is I started noticing a change again in my digestion, and I had to figure out how to keep that going. But also, all of a sudden, I'm 20 pounds heavier. And it was gradual. It was gradual. But all of a sudden, I had gained weight, and I was like, what the heck? This is crazy. Something is wrong here. And by that time, I was working at a nursing home and I got introduced, a coworker there introduced me to doing the lemonade diet. Worst thing ever. Should have never been introduced to it, but you know, the past is the past. So I did the lemonade diet, and the first time that I did it, I lost 10 pounds in 1 week. Now, most people, when they lose 10 pounds in that 1 week, it's literally just starving yourself. It does clean you out, but it's also starving yourself and drinking this maple syrup cayenne lemonade. And Most people will gain all that weight back. Well, what I did is I did keep that one off, and I, kept going with, just eating healthier and stuff. But it was this vicious cycle. So now all of a sudden that became my obsession and my addiction. And my addiction now, instead of laxatives and starving myself, other than going on, a 7-day diet like that to quickly lose weight is now it was going into, okay, like what's the next diet that I can do? And it just was one after the other. Not all the time, but if I wanted to lose weight quickly, that's what I did. And so I did that for probably a consecutive of 5 to 6 years, I would say, where I would try the lemonade diet. I would do every so often, but eventually it didn't work anymore. I also did something called the cabbage soup diet, which is like eating this cabbage soup for an entire week or 2 weeks. It was disgusting. That one didn't really work for me, but you did what you thought that you should do in order to lose weight quickly. What it finally led me to is that all of these things are such a disappointment. And that's when I eventually started my health career. So I started it first as a personal trainer. And I was like, if I can just learn how to like move my body, lift weights, I'll lose weight and be healthy. It was literally in the first month after being on the training floor, training people. I told myself, this isn't it. This is literally a fraction of what is important. And I went right back to school and studied holistic health. And this is where I learned about 100 different fat dietary theories and why these people believe that this diet is the right diet for everybody, why it works. And I'm talking like some crazy stuff. Like the owners and the creators of this diet are the ones that would be speaking. And that was just part of the school. The school didn't say, hey, this is the type of diet that you should be doing. It was just, hey, we're going to teach you 100 different types of dietary theories and why these people believe what they believe. But so that was part of it. But then the other part of that school was, hey, we're just going to teach you how to eat healthy. And so that was the most beautiful thing that I could have ever done. And then that forwarded me into launching my own business in 2020 and is why my business is called UNdiet You. It's exactly why it was born because I have this history of going through all of this stuff and then going, well, none of that ever works long term. And what people really need to learn and understand is just how to eat real food, but also how to eat real food that's enough. Do you know how much protein you should be having? A recent client of mine was like, I thought I was eating healthy to lose weight and feel good, but I couldn't lose weight. I was bloated all the time and I felt like garbage. 2 weeks into my program, she was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea what I was doing. She had just bought over $300 worth of fat burners because she was so desperate. And when we talked, I was like, please return those. I will teach you how to help your body heal on its own, other than like supplementation that you might be deficient in. Because the other thing that happens is when we do such extreme dieting, we really rob our body of nutrients and vitamins and minerals that are essential for our metabolism, our thyroid, and our hormones. And after doing that for years and years, all of a sudden you're just depleted. But then the other part of that is you also don't want to just go on any kind of supplementation because then there's that part. So you have to make sure that whatever supplements you are taking, your body actually needs, and also that they are supplements that your body can absorb. And I know I've talked about this many times. Last week's podcast was on, some of the best supplements that you can take. And I have a free supplement download guide on my website as well, on dietyou.com. You can go there and download that and make sure that you're using high quality supplements. Makes all the difference. You can either have expensive pee, which means you are taking terrible cheap supplements off of the Walgreens Walmart shelf, or you can spend a little bit more money and have a good feeling body. That's my theme. So that's that is my journey of where it all began and then why Undiet You started. So what do I eat in a day now? Like people are like, oh, you should write an Amish cookbook. No, I will not write an Amish cookbook. So what I will say is that the growing up in the Amish community and cooking from scratch, it taught me how to cook from scratch. Do I cook that way now? No, because the way that they cook isn't necessarily healthy. So what I eat in a day now does not mean that this is how you're supposed to be eating. None of my clients eat the same. They all learn how to eat enough protein and how to bring in, complex carbs and fiber and fruits and vegetables and things like that. But it doesn't mean that they're all eating the same thing. We all have different things. It's bio-individuality. Like we are all our own individuals and we like certain things. It's about what's going to work for you. So for me, I will always make sure that I am protein forward. So, for example, in the morning, it could be a bowl of, which by the way, a bowl of granola with a little bit of yogurt or some yogurt and granola, not enough. Is not enough protein. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I eat my yogurt and granola for breakfast. And yeah, and I'm like, you barely had any protein. And protein is what is going to help your metabolism, your thyroid, your hormones, your insulin. So many people are insulin resistant now, and you need protein to help with that. So, for an example, for breakfast, I may have a bowl of plain goat milk yogurt with a scoop of my Equip protein powder, which is my all-time favorite right now. I'll put the Equip protein link in the show notes as well because you get a discount. So I'll put that in there. I'll put some chia seeds in there, which brings more fiber and protein in there. And then depending on the mood I'm in or if I'm needing the calories, I might put 1 tablespoon of peanut butter in there. It makes it taste really yummy. And then top it with like blueberries. And most of my berries are frozen because it's hard to get fresh local berries here that actually taste good because most of them aren't local. So I buy my frozen berries and cherries. I love cherries, which cherries are really high in antioxidants and they're so good for you from Costco. So it's like a 3 pound bag of organic fruit and it's like $10. So I'll top it with that, and that can be my breakfast. And I have over 30 grams of protein in that. The other thing that I may have is a protein smoothie, which has, somewhere between 30 and 40 grams of protein. And it's going to have some fruit, it's going to have some vegetables, it's going to have, my raw milk. Like it's going to have all of that. I have raw milk quite a bit. And then the other thing that I may have is eggs, whether it's eggs with egg whites added in for more protein or eggs with whatever I need to add in to make sure that I'm getting enough protein. That's the other thing that I do. And then I always tell people, like, you might think that what I eat is boring, but I know how it's going to make me feel. So, for an example, for lunch, I may have 6 to 8 ounces of ground meat with my cup or however much rice that I need to make sure I'm getting my complex carbs in and a side of vegetables. That's it. Plain and simple. Dinner, same concept. Could be salmon, could be chicken with a sweet potato and a side of vegetables. So simple. And I like to cycle through different types of vegetables, different types of meats, my complex carbs. I cycle through. So for 1 week, I may have 2 to 3 different types of vegetables in the house. And it could be carrots. Raw carrots are something that I almost always have because raw carrots have this liver detoxification ability, estrogen detoxification. So sometimes I just chop up a whole raw carrot in little pieces and I eat that while I'm making the rest of my dinner because eating them raw is better for that. But that's about the only raw vegetable that I eat. Everything else is cooked. Sometimes I'll have raw arugula, which is fine, but most people do not digest raw vegetables very well at all. So I always suggest cooking those raw vegetables. And then, I have snacks, some snacks here and there, but it depends on how active my day is. But my goal is always going to be somewhere between 30 and 40 grams of protein at each meal because I want to get a minimum of 120 to 130 grams of protein in a day. So my snacks may be grass-fed beef sticks from Archer, or they may be Equip, where I get my protein powder from. They have an amazing 20-gram protein bar, super clean, super healthy, and delicious. The chocolate one, I have the chocolate and the peanut butter one. Oh my goodness, they are so good. So that may be a snack that I have. And then, it could be hard-boiled eggs. I rarely have like bags of processed things in my pantry. On occasion, I might have some tortilla chips. I by no means eat perfect, but what I'm telling you is I eat protein forward. So protein forward means you're always making sure that you're focusing on getting your protein in. And some people feel like, oh my gosh, like how could you ever get over 100 grams of protein a day? It just takes practice. It takes practice and you have to be intentional. Like a client of mine told me the other day, I'm learning so much about protein and how much it's helping me. And I'm teaching my family how to do that now. She's teaching her kids and she was teaching her husband. And she's literally, your body's eating you. You need to eat protein. And because she's going through my program and learning all of these things, now she's able to teach her family. And now her family's starting to feel better because they're learning those things. So I always tell the moms, I'm like, it starts with you. And so whenever you go through a program or something where you're learning all these essentials, my program will teach you how you can actually teach your family how to eat healthy too without dieting. And because you're the one that typically is cooking and you're providing the meals and stuff, you will be able to create that for your family. And it's not because you're on a diet. A lot of times when you're doing like some crazy diet, your family doesn't want to eat the way that you're eating. But for me, and how I'm teaching you these things is like, no, you're actually able to learn how to make these things and your family will eat it because it's something that the whole family can do. And a perfect example is you could take a beef chuck or rump roast, a big one. Get the biggest one they have. Sometimes I get two. You throw it in your Instant Pot or in your crock pot. And when I put mine in the Instant Pot, I usually have it in there for 2 hours because it's a higher pressure. But if you put it in the crock pot, you probably want like 6 or 8 hours in there. You season it with whatever you want to season it with. Like I like to put a whole onion in there, some garlic, and then some balsamic vinegar, maybe some coconut aminos. Obviously, your salt and your pepper, like whatever seasoning that you want. Sometimes I throw some herbs in there and I cook it and then I shred it. Now I have all of this meat and I take this roast meat and I just pair it with my potatoes and my vegetables or my rice and my vegetables. And that's my meal. And it's so simple and so easy. So that's what I teach you. And so when you go through this and you learn these things, you learn how you can apply these things for your family. Now, you're probably going to want to go out and eat some Mexican food sometime, or maybe a burger, maybe stuff like that. Yeah, because I had a gal that was like, I do well during the week, but on the weekends, like we go out to eat. I'm like, okay. Now you have to remember when you're going out to eat and you're eating out, you're always going to be higher in calories. Always. You just have to plan for that because that's the case. They cook with more oils, they cook with more salt. So you're going to be higher in calories when you go out to eat. So a really big thing that happens for a lot of people is, okay, like I do really well during the week, but on the weekends, like everything goes downhill because we like to go out to eat and I like to eat this. And well, at some point, you do have to make a decision on what is worth it. Do you want to be able to lose weight and keep it off and feel amazing? Or do you want to just, go through life and be like, well, I just want to eat whatever I want and then feel like crap and gain all this weight and never be able to lose the weight? You got to make a decision and a choice at some point what it is that you want. With that being said, I go out to eat. I just choose differently what I'm eating. On occasion, I like Mexican food, but that Mexican food might happen every few months, sometimes even every 6 months or so, not every weekend. So it's also like, how often are you doing it? I go out to eat with my kid. He loves burgers and fries. Last night we went out to eat and we were at this place and he wanted his burger and fries and I was like, "Sure, go ahead." I got a burger, but I got a burger that was protein style. Okay? So I didn't have like really any carbs on it and it was protein and fat and then I had some fries on the side, but I didn't even eat all the fries. So you just choose differently. If you're gonna go eat Mexican food, maybe you eat a lot less tortilla chips because it's very easy when you get that big bowl of chips in front of you and you're starving and you're waiting for your food to just like scoop up all those chips and eat, you know, 500 calories before you even start your meal. It's just stuff to be aware of. So you just choose differently. When I go to places where they have steak, like I'll always get steak with, vegetables on the side, and that's it. Like that's filling because I know that's protein forward. So think about protein forward. Okay. Now, even at home, do I have things like desserts and stuff like that? On occasion. On occasion, I do. Not very often, but on occasion, I'll go through and have a little bit here and a little there. It's about how are you doing it where it's not every single day? Like you really don't need it every single day. And when you learn how to give your body enough of the right calories, enough nutrients, enough protein, enough fiber, you're going to learn that you don't even crave that sugar that you've always been craving. One of the number one things that my clients will come back and say is, "Yeah, I don't really have any cravings anymore." I just, I don't. And I'm like, well, that's because you're actually feeding your body the things that it's needing. And now you don't have these cravings. Like if you crave sugar, it's actually a protein deficiency. That's one of them. You can also crave tons of sugar, and it's because you have candida overgrowth, which is yeast, and yeast feeds off of sugar, and when you don't feed it, it gets angry. So there is that part of it as well, but you still should be protein forward in that case, and it can help. But if you do have really high yeast levels, yeah, you probably need to go through a candida detox protocol, which is something that I take my clients through when it's needed. But at the end of the day, no matter where you're at, you do need to know and understand the foundations of what you need to be eating. Don't just coast through the day and go, I'm going to have a muffin for breakfast. Wouldn't it be nice if we could wake up every morning and be like, I'm going to have a cup of coffee and a croissant? In France, pain au chocolat and a cafe au lait. I would like to wake up in France. Next time I take a trip to France, I want to wake up every morning and have a cafe au lait and a pain au chocolat and maybe a baguette. Maybe a baguette with some butter and some French meat on. That sounds amazing. Yeah. When I was in France, I'm getting sidetracked here, but when I was in France the last time, I went almost 7 days being there before I tasted a baguette. And then a friend came and spent a couple days with me, and she's like, "You have to eat baguette." And I was like, "Why? It's just bread." She goes, "No, you have to eat bread. You have to eat a baguette." I tasted a baguette and then I couldn't stop eating it because it was so amazing. But I didn't have any of the bread side effects of it when I was in France because it's made way different. Their wheat is different. It wasn't even gluten free. I felt better on that than on the gluten-free bread in America. So anyway, yeah, I would toast and want to have a cafe au lait and a baguette or a croissant or a pain au chocolat every morning in France. With that being said, I want to, invite you in again and just go to the show notes, grab the link UNdiet You Reset, and come over and let's get you feeling better and feeling amazing and fitting into that outfit that you want to fit in for the holidays. And let's get you to a place where you're not just stressed and coasting through the holidays. We want you thriving and energetic and feeling good and feeling accomplished and feeling like you are in control. That's what you want. So come on over, join us. Let's get you there. And thank you for listening, you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into the Lizzie Ens Show. If you're ready to take the next step to transforming your health and life, visit www.undiet you.com for all my resources and to book your consultation today. Don't forget to subscribe and join me each week for more tips, inspiration, and conversations with phenomenal guests to help you feel your best. See you guys next week.